Today, we are tackling a legend. I mean, the legend. We're going to break down, step by step, how to create that absolutely iconic, show-stopping chocolate cake from Matilda.
I mean, that quote really says it all, doesn't it? This is so much more than just a dessert. It's a piece of cultural history, a challenge, a total triumph. And you know what? We're going to demystify every single step so you can nail it perfectly. So, let's talk about why this cake is such a big deal. I mean, it's a showstopper for a reason. It is the ultimate indulgence. We're talking deeply chocolatey, super rich, a towering masterpiece. Okay, let's get into this quest.
All right, time for our baking blueprint. Every great quest begins with preparation, right? So let's get our tools and ingredients all lined up.
Okay, first things first, your equipment. Think of this as your toolkit for the baking mission we're on. And trust me on this, having these specific items, especially things like parchment paper and an offset spatula, is going to make the whole thing so much smoother. It really gives you that professional edge.
And now for the good stuff, the ingredients. You'll see we've got this split into the two core components. Over here, everything for that unbelievably rich and moist cake. And on the other side, all the magic for that decadent, silky smooth fudge frosting. You really can't have one without the other. They're both absolutely crucial.
Okay, we've got our supplies. Now the construction begins. We're going to start by building the very foundation of this legend, the cake layers themselves.
All right, stop. Before you even think about touching a whisk, the absolute first thing you have to do is get that oven preheating to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Seriously, this is non-negotiable. It's what makes sure your cakes bake perfectly evenly from the second they go in.
Okay, now for a little kitchen magic. You're going to combine all your dry stuff, give it a good whisk, then in a totally separate bowl, do the same with your wet ingredients. Now, when you mix them together, the batter is going to get really thick, like surprisingly thick. But don't panic. That is exactly what you want at this point.
And here it is, the big secret, the pro tip. When you pour in that hot coffee, you're going to watch this thick paste completely transform into a super thin, watery liquid. It's going to feel wrong. You'll think, no way this works. But you have to trust the process. This is the absolute key to that ridiculously moist, tender crumb. Okay, we're in the home stretch for the layers. Time to bake. You'll just pour that thin batter evenly into your pans, pop them in the oven for 30 to 35 minutes. And then comes the hardest part of the entire recipe, patience. You have to, and I mean have to, let these cakes cool completely. Don't even dream about frosting them until they are cool to the touch. And now for the part that makes this cake a true legend. The frosting. We're talking about that ultimate silky, glossy fudge finish. This is not just a topping, people. This is what it's all about. The secret to getting this frosting just right is all in the technique. It's not just about mixing, it's about whipping. First, you're going to beat that butter on its own for a solid 3 minutes until it's super pale and creamy. Then, once you've added everything else, you whip it again for another 3, maybe 4 minutes. That final whip is what gives you that incredible, fluffy, glossy texture. Okay, deep breath. The components are ready. It is time. Let's get into the assembly and the pro tips that are going to take this from 2 cake layers to an absolute masterpiece. All right, the grand assembly. Listen up, because this is probably the most important professional trick I can give you, the crumb coat. Think of it like a primer for your cake. You put on a really thin layer of frosting first to trap all those little loose crumbs. Then you chill it. This makes sure your final gorgeous coat of frosting is perfectly clean. Whatever you do, do not skip that chill time. And for the final look, you gotta embrace the true spirit of this cake. It's not supposed to be neat and tidy. It's supposed to be dramatic. So go for those big, swooping, rustic layers of frosting. Really have fun with it. Make it look as epic as it's gonna taste. Now, what's really cool about this recipe are these little pro tips that can take your cake to the next level. For example, if you want an even richer cake, swap out half of the buttermilk for sour cream. Game changer. Also, you can totally bake the layers a day ahead, which makes assembly way less stressful. And hey, once you've got the original down, this is where you can get really creative. Think about it. You could add a layer of chocolate ganache in the middle for a triple chocolate knockout. Or what about a drizzle of salted caramel? That sweet and salty kick would be incredible. Okay, last thing, how to serve and store your masterpiece. This is important. For the absolute best flavor and texture, you have to serve it at room temperature. And here are a few guidelines to keep it tasting amazing, whether you're finishing it in a couple of days or freezing the layers for later.
And how long does this whole quest take? Just 2 hours. That's it. It's kind of amazing, right? In just 2 hours, you can go from a bunch of simple ingredients to a dessert that is guaranteed to stop people in their tracks.
So there you have it, the complete blueprint. You know all the secrets, all the steps, from the first ingredient to that final dramatic swoop of frosting. The only question left is, which variation will you try on your baking quest?